All right, I'm going to start off by saying I don't expect that anybody is going to watch this. I don't even know if I'm going to keep up with this, but this is just an idea that I had a little bit ago, and I'm deciding to follow up with it now. I want to keep a video diary, or at least like a podcast sort of diary where I just talk about what happened during the day, stuff that I'm thinking about, because I've been going far too many days without just saying anything. I don't talk in the same ways that I used to, have the same sort of out there thoughts that make conversations interesting. And I feel like the longer I go on without doing that, the worse condition I'm going to be in. Like, just in general, for this year so far, I've felt super run down as a way of describing it, or just like in a hole or in my own little shell. I'd love to be able to interact with people more often, and when I was actively in my server talking with people, that's one thing. And I do still talk regularly with people in all the different servers that I'm in, but it really just doesn't feel the same. It's a lot more disjointed now because we're all becoming adults and we're getting a lot more busy. Hell, I've got a lot of stuff I should be doing right now, but I'm not because I'm recording this. And in tandem with this, I'm also going to make small little doodles as like thumbnails for each of these so they keep me motivated to draw more often. Because the more that I do, the more fulfilled in my life I feel like I will be. That is the idea that I subscribe to right now. But the problem is, the stuff that I'm doing, like making music and drawing or making my game, I don't have to talk very much when I do that. It's more just something I've grown accustomed to making at this point. I don't think outside the box. I don't dig deep into the corners of my mind to try and think of something radical or crazy anymore. So my brain just sort of goes through the motions. I mean, really, that's one of the important things of being a good speaker and being a good conversationalist, having places to take the conversations that you have. If you're just going back and forth saying like, hey, how was your day? Or, hey, did something happen to you? Oh, that's cool. Then you just delve into this hole of monotony. You sort of lose what the point even is. If there are certain scenarios that come about, like if somebody wants to DM me and they're going through something right now, they want some advice, sure, I'll talk with them for a good while. And I enjoy doing that. But I just wish I could extend that aptitude to speak to just things that aren't necessary. Or at the very least, not things that other people initiate. I have been a lot less of an initiator in conversations than I have been in the past. And oftentimes within communicative relationships, it's got to be the one person that's usually coming up and starting to talk. Because if you're waiting around for another person to reach out to you, then that connection might not ever happen. It's the same thing when you're meeting a stranger for the first time. You got to be the first one to reach out. Otherwise, you'll never know if anything's going to happen from it. For whatever reason, being in the digital space makes it a lot harder. Like, we'll be in group chats, and we'll send messages out for anybody to respond to, but if nobody responds, or people are just busy, then it just sort of is left to float. And at the very least, that's the way I feel right now, and that to me is a bad sign. I want to be able to know the people that I'm talking to get to know them to the point that I don't have to think about what I remember about them, and just drum up a conversation, have general interests in the lives of other people. And it's sad to say that really, when you think about it in scope, that's not where my mind has been right now. Maybe just because I've been doing so much that I don't have the frame of mind to meet and learn about other people, or even recall the people that I have known in the past, or details about them, because I've got so many other things I'm thinking about at the moment. But maybe I can handle all of that if I just get into the practice of speaking more. If I have something to talk about, if I have something to do, it's practice makes perfect, but just on a more mundane level. My art might improve with time too, if I'm drawing little doodles and thumbnails for each of the pictures of this. Because ultimately, that's the one thing that's holding me back from art too. It just takes so much time, and I just don't have that time. I've got so many ideas I would love to do, and whenever I even touch on it a little bit, I just sort of lose steam really quickly. Or I've got other things that take precedent. I would say the thing that mostly takes up my time nowadays is the marble game. Because I've got people that paid me Robux for features or for early access or whatever, and I want to keep that momentum going. Because I'm also just thinking about the idea of my future career and my ability to make money. I think it's abundantly clear that I'm more on the creative side, taking things in my own path and direction. But I really can't do that just on my own. I need to have a basis in order to be able to sustain myself. I don't plan to make that my full-time career, but imagine if I, say, made a whole bunch of t-shirt designs and they sell over time. If I'm in between jobs or whatever, I might still have some money coming in for that. Or if I have my music up on Spotify or on Bandcamp or whatever, and get occasional bits of money from people that listen or that download my songs, I'll be incentivized to create more and just have a huge arsenal of stuff that people could pick and choose from. Okay, a quick cut in, because I'm actually recording this in the middle of the video, but I'm going to move it to the front. So the purpose of this channel and this video that you're seeing is this is going to be a video diary. Every day, or whenever I'm able to, I'm going to make pretty much just a little bit of a podcast where I talk about my day, things that are on my mind, or just anything random that comes to mind. Because I've wanted to do similar sorts of things like this in the past. If you've been on my main channel, where I would have posted these things if it wouldn't have gotten annoying, if you've been on my main channel, you would see that in the past when I did Fox Talk, where I would invite people on to talk about current issues, that never really went anywhere. But if I'm just on my own, talking about whatever comes to mind, I could put stuff out there. That's sort of what my Discord server was meant to be like, but in the same vein, I don't know, I feel like having a literal stockade of videos of me just talking here would be a good way not only to just expand my thoughts of... So yes, these videos are going to be on this separate channel, completely apart from my other two, just so anybody that is actually subscribed for real content is not pissed off by the amount of uploads that will be here. And even if nobody ends up watching this, at least I'll have something to look back on as okay, this is what my days were like, because it's getting harder for me to remember, and I'm kind of concerned about that. But maybe when I talk about it, it will stick more in my memory, and if not, I could look back at it. Alright, so I guess for tonight I'll talk about one random thing that happened. So Chipotle is pretty nice. I go there quite often because it's very close to my apartment, and their food is pretty good. And I feel like for what you're getting, it's not in the same vein as a McDonald's burger or going to get a Wawa sandwich. They got rice, veggies, a decent amount of protein in their food. The only thing I gotta really worry about is the amount of salt that I'm consuming. I don't eat it every day, but I eat it a good deal of times when I don't feel like cooking. But I'd always thought of weird ways of screwing around with their menu, because if you didn't know, you can order a tortilla on the side. I think it's 50 cents extra or whatever. But I usually like to do that. I order a bowl and get the tortilla on the side, then just sort of make it at home. And that's for a couple of reasons. One, depending on who's working there, some people don't really know how to wrap a burrito right, and they just spill some stuff on the counter, and that just kind of makes me sad. But also, I was always thinking that if you're stuffing it in a tortilla, there's going to be less than in that gigantic bowl, just by the shape of it, But ultimately, it just boils down to what employee is working there and how they decide to make your food. Because sometimes they jam-pack stuff into those burritos. Other ones just skim the top off the barbacoa thing and just plop a little bit in there. And I'm like, hey, could you add a little bit more? Because that doesn't seem like enough. And then you'll have people that fill the bowls a variable amount. So in times past, I've gotten the bowl and I've gotten the tortilla. And after filling up the tortilla and rolling it up like a burrito, I would still have half the food left in the bowl. And I'd think, oh man, you're getting little less than double just getting a bowl and then a tortilla instead of just a burrito. But today, I just dumped it all in, not even trying to portion it out. And yeah, it was just about the size of a normal burrito. So I guess it really is just about the same volume. I'll tell you the one thing that's not, though. When it comes to the tacos, not just the burritos, the taco shells, you can also get the shells on the side in the same way that you get the tortilla. But there is, nothing in there. So I would totally consider getting a bowl and then getting the taco shells on the side. If you do really like the hard shells, I do like them sometimes, although they're not as good for you. But yeah, that's an option. It's just the one thing I don't like about it is in those cases, they give you 2 bowl packages because you can't really wrap up the taco shells in tin foil because they'll break. And that too is like essentially if you want chips to dip into the bowl, you can use the taco shells instead, and they only cost like 50 cents compared to a lot more for other chips. Also, can I just mention that an extra like $2.50 or whatever for queso is BS. I mean, it's obviously based on demand and not on the actual cost of the ingredient, but like, come on. You're already spending like $10 plus when you're getting the bare minimum stuff at Chipotle. And they're gonna make it like almost double when you like want to add a little extra meat or if you add queso and guacamole on it both, you're already paying like $15, $16 for the thing. It's no longer fast food at that point. It's like a whole dang restaurant. Alright, I don't want to rant too long about Chipotle because this is just going to be my introductory video, and I want to have other stuff to talk about at some point. But, yeah, so this is, man, what am I going to call this? So this has been a look into my daily diary, and if you want to hear more from me, or you want to strike up a conversation in the comments, go ahead. And then maybe subscribe if you want to get updated about these sorts of things. I don't know if my life is really that interesting to warrant this sort of stuff. Or at the very least, I'm going to try not to talk too much, you know. This shouldn't be so bad. I only have to worry about cutting down the footage to make sure it's all right. And then making a small little drawing. It should be easy content that I could manage. And hopefully I'll continue on with it, regardless of whether or not I care to do it. Because that's the other principle of it. Just so many projects I make, I'm really passionate about them, but they just take a lot of effort because I've got that high quality standard, and they end up not getting finished. This is the scrapings of the barrel that you're getting, but it's finished stuff. So, I don't know. I guess. All right, I'll see you.